Welcome to another book review, and this one is People of the Outside, Witchcraft, Cannibalism and the Elderfolk by Lee Morgan, with a very, very beautiful picture on the front. This is a very different book to the ones I normally go for. It hasn't got any how-tos, it hasn't got any spells. What it has got is a journey leading us back to our possible furthest origins, right up to today, and our taboos. That we don't talk about blood, that we don't talk about bones. They're not things that we talk about. And he takes us through that journey. He writes in, it's almost in a fictional way, although it's not fiction. He's got a playful, fun way of writing, which makes this an acceptable book, even to those that actually are looking at this thinking, oh my God, I really am not interested in that. I would suggest that you could, and you don't have to read all of it, you could just pick and choose, because each of the chapters, the very first chapter is called What Sews a Witchcraft from a Baby Hide. The next chapter is What in the Dark They Fear We Witches Do, and goes on to profane kisses and ritual uncleanliness, divergent evolutionary chaos theory, and one of my favourites, which I'm probably not going to be able to find now, where is it? Mirror-handed rather, is another one. Inside the Skull Labyrinth, but my absolute favourite, and I know I'm coming to it, They All Live Together in a Crooked Little House. Who remembers that from childhood? They all live together in a crooked little house. It's a fascinating journey looking at those subjects which we don't like to acknowledge were a part of our past, and we know they were. We have that in us, and he shows us how we know that. That's why they are such taboo subjects, and why over the centuries people in power tried to have these things removed. They were put in places of wrongness. It was wrong to have these thoughts, to do this. Not everywhere. So pulling together those threads of archaeology, academia, what Lee shows us is that, I won't go right the way back, but into more recent thoughts from archaeology and academia, was that we appeared from the primordial ooze as reptiles of some kind, because we have the basal ganglia. We all have it. Sorry, you've got it, I've got it, everyone's got it. Basal ganglia. And it's known as the reptilian part of the brain, because that's what they thought at the time. I think it was in the 1960s or somewhere it was first postulated. I could be wrong. I want to say it was about that. But yeah, so the reptilian brain. Now the basal ganglia is the part of us that keeps us alive. It is linked to food, protection, fight or flight, reproduction. It's what keeps our species going. And for a long time it was thought that, as I say, we came out of the primordial ooze as reptilian something or others. Now what happened from that through was the bit that sort of was glossed over to a certain extent, in that archaeology and academia both sort of made them separate divisions, in that Neanderthals were Neanderthals, that I think it was the Devenisians that followed. There was maybe a slight overlap in that they were around at the same time, but they didn't intermingle. They certainly didn't intercopulate, for the want of a better word. They didn't, there was no interchange of fluids between them, and so on. However, academia and archaeology and what we can now look at has moved at such a pace that, and I think we're becoming more aware ourselves that you can't just say, no, that didn't happen. You have to acknowledge that there is a possibility, at least. And and he tells us in here, I'll come to that in a minute, that they now do say that there was that intermingling. So yeah, we have Neanderthal DNA, and it is possible that that basal ganglia actually relates back as far as that to our earliest possible I wonder, what do you call them? I don't know. But the people that stood up, the people that looked the most like us, rather than being a reptile that came out of the primordial ooze, which is very possible. It could go back that far, but it carries on through. That part of us is still there, and is very part of the fact that we have survived as a species, that sapiens are here. You know, we don't always do the best, but you know, we're here. And the reason why I say he tells you it's here is because each chapter, let alone the bibliography, and as you know from my previous little things of these, I love a good bibliography. I'll come to that. But at the end of each chapter, there is a set of notes. So this one's Cannibal of the Outside, has 11 footnotes. The next one, like Night of the Long Tooth, 16. There's one, I can't think which one it is now. I think it has nearly, it's either 20 or 21 footnotes. And that's each chapter, let alone the 11 pages of bibliography at the back. It's brilliant, absolutely brilliant. You can look things up for yourself. You don't have to take his word for it. You can actually look to see where he's got his information from and go off and take a look for yourself. And that's what I like. I like to be able to, okay, that's your view. Now let me go and see where you got this idea from to see if it matches, if I can match. So yeah. So as I said, each chapter has got some very interesting titles. We do have that fascination with blood and bone, whether it's ugh or ooh, interesting. We like going around churchyards. We like going around old temples and things. And there is evidence that, and he doesn't actually say it's still in practice. Whether it still is or not, I don't know. But there certainly was, up till quite recent times, indigenous tribes who did eat their ancestors because they were thought to be showing respect. They were taking in the information and the knowledge and the experience that those people had gone for. Especially older women. The brains of older women apparently were very sought after because they were seen to be the most experienced, the most knowledgeable. So to actually show respect by taking in that knowledge, and that was and still might be in some places a great sign of respect. Yes, I know the thought is quite repellent to those of us, but it's there. And because it's still there in some places, he postulates that this has been going on right the way through our evolution. It's not talked about in great depth or great detail. He literally just takes you on that journey to poke around in your shadows in your personal shadows, in the back of your brain, to just think about these things. Really thought-provoking book. Highly recommend it. I will shut up now because I've waffled again for far longer than I thought I would. So yeah, very, very interesting book. Let me know if you get hold of it and what you think of it.